Yeah,
but she needs to be on a better. She needs to be on a better team.
Yeah, but she needs to be on a better team. ESPN is in full meltdown mode over Caitlin Clark's new European contract, acting as if they have any say in her choices. They don't. Clark has made up her mind, packed her bags, and she's not looking back. No matter how much ESPN whines, begs, or throws a fit. Why? Because Caitlin Clark knows her worth. She has self-respect and way more common sense than the so-called leaders running the WNBA. Unlike them, Clark knows she's too valuable to stick around and be the league's punching bag. Why should she stay in a league that can't even protect its brightest star?
And voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me. And opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark said.
She's been mauled by players, ignored by refs, and targeted by haters who couldn't stand the fact that she was single-handedly keeping this broken league afloat, while others crumbled. Caitlin Clark was carrying the weight of an entire organization on her back, and instead of being celebrated, she was attacked at every turn.
What I am upset about, it's like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
Now that Caitlin Clark's realized she's worth way more than being the WNBA's beat-up cash cow, everyone's losing their minds. Sorry, ESPN, your golden goose has flown the coop, and all you're left with is a nest full of missed opportunities. Clark just dropped a bombshell on the WNBA, and honestly, it's almost laughable how ESPN is suddenly pretending to care now that she's leaving for Europe. Caitlin is done with the circus that the WNBA has become. She's heading overseas, leaving a trail of broken dreams and shattered egos after carrying this league all season. Taking brutal fouls and getting body checked like it was a hockey game, not basketball. She's finally said, enough is enough, and honestly, who can blame her?
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie.
This isn't just some player making a career move. Remember her final game against the Connecticut Sun? She dropped 29 points, dished out 10 assists, and grabbed 7 rebounds. Basically a one-woman show. Meanwhile, her teammates looked like they were in a blooper reel, missing open shots and making boneheaded mistakes that would embarrass a high school coach. And what did the WNBA do? They let the refs treat her like a punching bag while they sat back and watched. Fans didn't sign up for a UFC match, but that's exactly what the WNBA turned into whenever Caitlin Clark stepped on the court.
Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA.
ESPN and their so-called experts are finally waking up. Oh, now they realize they were sitting on a cash cow the whole time. How convenient. Before Caitlin Clark came along, the Indiana Fever were lucky to draw 3,000 fans a game. It felt more like a neighborhood block party than a professional event. But the moment Clark hit the scene, suddenly 177,000 fans were packing the arena for every game. That's a 400% increase.
The Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road. Fever averaged 17,000.
How's that for impact? They didn't just have a star on their hands, they had a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. But sure, let's keep focusing on spreading the wealth instead of celebrating the one player who single-handedly put the WNBA on the map.
If Caitlin Clark is the quote-unquote savior, if she's the golden girl, milk it!
And don't even get me started on the merchandise sales. Caitlin Clark's jersey outsold everyone in WNBA history, surpassing legends like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. We're talking about a rookie, a first-year player, outshining Hall of Famers. That's not just impressive, it's historic. She made the WNBA must-see TV, and her games were practically national events. But did ESPN ever treat her like the superstar she is? Nope. They gave her lukewarm coverage, acting like she was just another player. And now they're scrambling, trying to act like they didn't sleep on her. Too late, ESPN. The boat has already sailed, and it's headed straight to Europe.
Yeah,
But she needs to be on a better team.
Let's talk about viewership, shall we? That game against the New York Liberty pulled in 1.5 million viewers, more than some NBA games on TNT. And now that she's gone, what's left? A bunch of empty seats, dusty jerseys, and a crew of talking heads at ESPN trying to figure out how they managed to screw up the easiest win in sports broadcasting history. Caitlin Clark faced nothing short of a nightmare in the WNBA, and now that she's decided to pack up and head to Europe, it's downright comical to watch ESPN and everyone else suddenly scramble to pay attention.
Truth is finally coming to the light. The same light that is going to be dimming here in about 12 hours when Caitlin Clark is eliminated from the playoffs.
The physicality Clark faced in the league was nothing short of brutal. Forget about defending. It felt like she was stepping into a street fight every time she laced up her shoes. She was getting hammered, shoved, elbowed. Every dirty trick in the book was thrown at her. And how did the league respond? They pretended nothing was happening. Imagine being a rising star, the face of a franchise, and having the league treat you like a punching bag. It's outrageous.
It's important that we point this out. One of the things that I brought up this morning in talking about Caitlin Clark is that some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine.
And let's not even get started on the officiating. Was there any at all? If you watched any of her games, it looked like the refs were playing a game of see no evil, hear no evil, while Clark was getting manhandled on the court. She literally said she felt hammered out there. And what did the WNBA do? They shrugged it off like it was just another Tuesday. The infamous eye poke incident should have been a wake-up call for everyone. But instead, the WNBA turned a blind eye. Pun intended. Acting like it's normal for a star player to be treated like an intruder in their own league.
But if you're not delivering the product and you're not making the revenue and you're not, giving people the entertainment that they want, then you're not going to make any money and your league is going to suck.
The emotional toll? You can't even put it into words. Every missed call, every cheap shot, it chips away at you. Here you are, busting your butt to carry a team, and in return, you're left exposed and unprotected. On top of that, you're criticized for not being tough enough? Give me a break. The league and its cheerleading media dropped the ball so hard that it's still rolling. And now they want to play catch-up? It's pathetic.
And this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark. No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go look. Is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
Wait, it gets even juicier. Alyssa Thomas made some comments about alleged racial bias in the fan base, accusing that Clark's popularity is somehow rooted in racial dynamics instead of, her jaw-dropping talent. And what did ESPN do? They ran with that narrative, completely ignoring the real reason behind Clark's success. It's mind-boggling how they'd rather stir the pot than celebrate an incredible athlete's accomplishments.
Those guys, they're the racists, when really, y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base that she brought.
They lapped it up running with this absurd narrative like it's breaking news instead of highlight in her record-breaking games. They framed her success through the lens of race. Seriously, Clark was out there breaking ankles, setting records, and carrying a team on her back, and they want to reduce her success to a racial conversation.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it.
And then because they clearly can't read a room, they lean into it, trying to stir the pot further. Clark's response. She stood her ground, insisting that her success is a result of hard work and grit, not some cheap racial narrative. But the fact that she even had to do that shows just how twisted the media's coverage has been.
She's got 14,000 followers. And it's really easy to ignore, and most people don't know who she is is in the sports world. The only reason why people even know who she is because of Caitlin Clark. And she still only got 14,000 followers on Twitter. She doesn't have much of a brand.
They could have easily spotlighted her as the next big thing. Because, spoiler alert, she is, but instead, they chose to push a narrative that does nothing but tarnish her image and drag everyone down. It's disgraceful. What does this do for public perception? It creates a toxic atmosphere that Clark absolutely doesn't deserve. She's put in the work, yet she's stuck dealing with these sideshow controversies instead of getting the recognition she's earned. She's a golden goose, and the league needs to wake up. This mess doesn't just affect Clark. It's making the entire WNBA look like amateurs. And don't even get me started on the WNBA's inclusivity narrative. They've touted themselves as a league of equality and opportunity. But when it came time to protect their biggest asset, they left her out to dry.
Your biggest star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
Now ESPN and the WNBA are about to feel the sting of neglecting the only player who turned them into a spectacle worth watching. Caitlin was the heartbeat, the pulse, the lifeline of the league, and they let it slip away. Now they're left watching as she takes her talents and all the buzz she created to a league that actually appreciates it. So, as she packs her bags for Europe, suddenly everyone's acting like they just realized she's a real deal. Well, it's too little, too late. The WNBA could have built an entire franchise around her, could have made her the face of the league, but they dropped the ball. Now they've lost their brightest star.
What I am upset about is like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
And as for ESPN, they're sitting there trying to spin the story and save face. But the truth is they really screwed up. They let a generational talent slip through their fingers. And now they're left holding a big fat nothing. So, good luck to Caitlin Clark in Europe. She's heading somewhere that will actually value her talent. Somewhere that won't let her get torn apart every game while the refs look the other way. And for ESPN and the WNBA, maybe, just maybe, this will be the wake-up call they need. Because right now, they're the punchline to a joke they didn't even realize they were telling.
Because it's Caitlin Clark and she can't do that game.
With her heading to Europe, it's about to be pure chaos over at ESPN. They're going to have to say goodbye to those juicy ratings, the spike in merchandise sales, and every bit of buzz that Caitlin brought to a league that, let's be honest, needed a miracle to stay relevant. Now they're left trying to hype up players who can't even touch what Clark accomplished in a single season. The irony is just too good. They finally realized the treasure they had right as she's heading out the door. So, as Caitlin Clark packs her bags and sets off for Europe, ESPN and the WNBA are staring at a massive void that they'll be hard-pressed to fill. They could have built an empire around her, but instead, they're left scrambling for scraps. You don't get players like Clark every day, and when you do, you treat them like royalty. ESPN fumbled that opportunity, and now they're about to pay the price. This isn't just a loss, it's a catastrophe. The WNBA had a shot at greatness, and they blew it big time. Enjoy Europe, Caitlin. You deserve way better than this mess.